As you all know, historically, the thyroid function tests have gone through a sea of change in the last few decades, and in fact it has become easily accessible and very affordable nowadays. And thanks to the famous scientists Rosalind Yalow and Bergson, who discovered the radioimmunoassay with which we can measure very minute amounts of any chemical in the body, due to which you know that the radioimmunoassay has revolutionized the way we look at hormonal assays. And after 1970s, the tests for thyroid functions have become relatively easier. Prior to 1990s and 80s, you can imagine, some of which are mentioned here, thyroid functions were suspected, thyroid dysfunction was suspected only based on the tissue effects of the hormone. For example, the classic clinical features like, somebody with a grossly bloated face, coarse voice, edema, dry skin, these are all extreme manifestations of severe hypothyroidism. And in a big college setting or a research setting, you can measure basal metabolic rate, you can measure sleeping pulse rate, etc., which were all, today it is historical. And the reflexes were checked, the deep tendon reflexes, in a delayed way, and there were even instruments to measure the amplitude of the contraction of the muscle during the elicitation of a deep tendon reflex. These are all now historical. And later came the iodine metabolism as a measure of thyroid function, with which the nuclear tests also give us some idea of thyroid functions, especially both technetium and iodine uptake studies will help you to know to some extent. But today we use it not to for quantifying the function of the thyroid, but predominantly we use it for diagnosing any structural lesions in the thyroid, especially nodular diseases. So much of today's thyroid function tests heavily relies on a good functioning assay of the hormones which are commonly measured, which include the triiodothyronine T3 and tetraiodothyroxine, which is T4. These are all the main thyroid hormones secreted by the gland, and we have a feedback relationship with the pituitary, due to which you have the reciprocal relationship with the TSH. In the next slide, we will go into this further. This one axis will give us all the assessment of thyroid function tests, and I will go through over the next half an hour how do we interpret and apply the basic physiological principles and interpret appropriately in the clinical setting. So I have already alluded to that we are going to recapitulate basics of thyroid function tests, and we are going to go through several case situations of various abnormal and normal looking thyroid function values and interpret them in the context of the patient. Before proceeding further, this slide is a recapitulation of our basic physiology right from our undergraduate days. The listeners and other physicians who may be listening to this would be reminded of their physiology classes, where we have been taught repeatedly about the classic endocrine feedback system, the hypothalamo pituitary thyroid axis in this case. But as you know, in endocrinology we have these kind of classic three-tier feedback relationship, not only with thyroid but also with adrenal, with gonads also.